Welcome back to my channel, where we dive into the most fascinating and unexpected treasures hiding in the world of coins and currency, and today's episode might just change how you look at your everyday pocket change forever, because we're about to take a deep look into the incredible story of the 1976 P5-cent coin. A nickel that has shocked collectors and stunned the numismatic community by being valued at an astonishing $76 million due to a combination of rare errors, minting mistakes, and unexplained anomalies that have defied expectations and traditional valuation. And as we explore every single nuance of what makes this unassuming nickel so valuable, you'll begin to understand how a coin originally intended to be nothing more than loose change can turn into one of the most legendary finds in American coinage history. So let's get right into the fascinating circumstances that transformed this specific coin into one of the most sought-after pieces of modern numismatic lore. Starting with its origin during the year 1976, a significant time for the United States Mint as it marked the country's bicentennial year, and although most of the public's attention was focused on special commemorative quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins released with unique reverse designs honoring 200 years of independence, routine issues like the 5-cent coin continued production in their regular format, meaning the 1976 P-nickel bore no special design or alteration to reflect the bicentennial theme. But it turns out that something much more mysterious and valuable was brewing within the walls of the Philadelphia Mint during the striking of this ordinary coin, beginning with a known set of misstrikes and die errors that were quietly observed among small batches of coins that somehow made their way into circulation, and over the decades since their discovery, numismatists have uncovered an astonishingly small number of 1976 P-nickels that exhibit a strange and still poorly understood set of attributes, including off-center strikes, die clashes, double dies on both obverse and reverse, and in one legendary case, a coin that appears to have been struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, possibly a leftover from another U.S. Mint contract, creating a piece that is dimensionally different from any standard American 5-cent coin. And it is this specific error-laden coin that has drawn the most attention due to the accumulation of anomalies that suggest it may have been a test strike, an experimental issue, or a fantastically unlikely convergence of minting mishaps, because when we break down the exact errors found on the most famous 1976 P5-cent coin, we find not just one or two mistakes, but a whole sequence of faults, including a dramatic double die obverse in which Jefferson's profile is shadowed by an unmistakable secondary image, a clash between the dies resulting in a ghostly outline of the Monticello building on the obverse, incomplete edge reading where there should be none, and most puzzling of all, a mint mark anomaly where the P is either missing, misaligned, or appears to have been hand-punched twice, leading experts to debate whether the coin was part of a transitional experiment or simply the result of exhausted dies and human error converging in a single strike. And while missing mint marks were relatively common before 1980 when the Philadelphia Mint began using the P regularly on most denominations, the presence of a P in 1976 on a nickel was not typical, which leads some experts to believe that the mint mark itself may have been manually added by a mint employee either as part of a test or in error, and this possibility has opened the floodgates for speculation and investigation, with some suggesting that this may have been a training coin, a presentation strike, or an attempt to test equipment settings, especially when considered alongside the fact that the metal composition of the coin does not match the standard nickel-copper alloy used in 1976, as tests have revealed unusual traces of manganese and zinc, suggesting a planchet meant for a different coin, and when layered on top of the double die clash, off-center strike, and questionable mint mark, this makes the coin not just a curiosity but an unprecedented mystery piece that somehow survived internal mint procedures and ended up in circulation. And what truly sets this coin apart isn't just the sheer number of errors but the impossibility of their co-occurrence on a single strike, which has led some collectors and researchers to nickname it the miracle nickel, because its mere existence suggests a deviation from standard protocol that should have triggered rejection and destruction before the coin ever left the facility, but somehow it slipped through, perhaps hidden among bulk shipments or missed during inspection due to its subtle yet accumulating anomalies, and once discovered, the coin quickly passed through private hands until it was finally authenticated, analyzed, and auctioned for a mind-blowing $76 million, a valuation driven not only by the rarity and uniqueness of the specimen but also by the mystery surrounding its origin, with no other 1976 P-nickel found to share all the same attributes. making it a truly one-of-a-kind object whose story continues to inspire debate, fascination, and wild speculation, because when collectors talk about rare coins, they often refer to condition, rarity, or demand, but in this case, all of those aspects are amplified by the deep unknowns about how and why this coin was ever produced in such a state, and if that weren't enough to cement its legendary status, the coin also features a series of micro-die polish lines around the base of Jefferson's neck that suggest a very specific and careful die preparation process, inconsistent with mass production but possibly consistent with experimental or low-volume minting scenarios, and further investigation revealed that similar polish lines are present only on a handful of other nickels from nearby years but none from 1976, suggesting that the die itself may have been a reused or repurposed tool not intended for mass use. And some experts even posit that the coin may have been produced during a night shift or limited test run when oversight was minimal and the focus was on technical adjustment rather than standard circulation output, which again raises the question of intent versus accident, and whether the coin represents a forgotten footnote in mint history or a deliberately produced specimen that somehow lost its classification and was accidentally released, and these unanswered questions have only driven the value higher, because in numismatics, it is not just the physical features of a coin that make it valuable but also the story it tells, the mystery it carries, and the role it plays in expanding our understanding of minting history, and few coins embody all of these traits as fully as the infamous 1976 P nickel, and while many rare coins owe their high values to low mintage numbers or pristine condition, this particular coin's worth is grounded in the sheer impossibility of its existence, the converging mysteries of material composition, mint mark anomalies, conflicting die states, and obscure production processes. And though experts have pored over every available record from the Philadelphia Mint in 1976, no internal documentation has ever confirmed the existence of such a strike, suggesting either that it was unrecorded, lost, or never officially sanctioned, and that gap in the archival record only intensifies the intrigue, leaving collectors to wonder whether there are more of these miracle nickels hiding out there in old change jars, estate collections, or forgotten drawers, waiting to be discovered by someone lucky or observant enough to notice the subtle misalignments, the telltale doubling, or the ghostly die clash that hints at something much greater than a 5-cent piece, and because of its historical peculiarity, the $76 million nickel has become a symbol in the numismatic world of what makes coin collecting so electrifying, the thrill of knowing that even a small, worn piece of metal could carry untold value, and with every new collector who enters the hobby and learns the story of the 1976 P nickel, its legend grows, a reminder that the most valuable treasures are often the most unassuming, and that a coin's face value is only the beginning of its story, not the end, and as this extraordinary specimen continues to capture the imagination of historians, collectors, and investors alike, it stands as a silent testament to the power of error, chance, and rarity in the world of currency, because one 5-cent coin from 1976, struck in Philadelphia, should have been worth exactly what it said, 5 cents, but instead, due to an unforgettable series of minting miracles, it now commands a value of $76 million and a place in history as one of the most astonishing discoveries in all of American coinage. Next 1974 to my channel, where we dive deep into the fascinating and often unexpected world of rare coins and their jaw-dropping values. Today, we're going to explore a truly extraordinary piece of numismatic history that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and investors alike, the 1974 P. Jefferson 5-cent coin, a nickel with a face value of just 5 cents, but which has astoundingly been appraised at an astonishing $74 million due to an intricate web of rare errors, minting anomalies, and fascinating backstories that elevate it far beyond its humble denomination. At first glance, this coin may seem like any ordinary nickel that passed through millions of hands over the decades, but upon closer inspection, it reveals a series of unique and exceedingly rare characteristics that make it one of the most coveted coins in American numismatic lore. The story begins with the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia in the year 1974, a time when the mint was producing high volumes of nickels to meet the needs of a growing economy. During this intense production period, a small batch of nickels managed to escape into circulation bearing a combination of defects and anomalies so unusual that they have baffled experts for decades. Chief among these anomalies is a mint mark mystery. Although Philadelphia coins from that era typically do not carry a mint mark, a handful of 1974 P nickels were somehow stamped with an unusually placed or malformed P, leading to speculation about unauthorized or experimental minting practices. Some numismatists believe these odd mint marks were the result of test runs for new dies or part of an internal quality control process that inadvertently allowed flawed specimens to be released. Beyond the curious mint mark, these nickels display striking planchet errors that further boost their value. A select few of these coins were struck on defective planchets, leading to irregular surfaces, incomplete rims, and blurred details, all of which contribute to their rarity and desirability. One particularly famous specimen was struck on a bronze planchet, which should have been reserved for pennies, not nickels. This unprecedented crossover error not only highlights the chaotic minting process of the time but also adds an exceptional layer of intrigue and value. Die errors further compound the rarity of these coins. Several known examples of the 1974 P nickel feature double die obverse or reverse designs, in which the image or lettering appears doubled due to misalignment during the striking process. Such double die errors are extremely rare and highly sought after, and when they occur on an already rare coin like the 1974 P nickel, the value skyrockets. In some cases, these doubled elements are clearly visible in Jefferson's eye or the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and Monticello, lending a ghostly quality to the coin's appearance. Additional coins have surfaced showing significant die cracks, cuts, and even clipped planchets, all errors that collectors hunt for and prize when found on low mintage or historically significant pieces. In the case of the 1974 P nickel, the accumulation of multiple errors on a single coin, or the presence of highly unusual combinations of defects, has turned what was once pocket change into a multimillion-dollar treasure. These coins also exhibit fascinating strike-through errors, where foreign objects such as grease or metal shavings interfere with the coin's design during the minting process, leading to missing or distorted features. Some of these errors are so dramatic that the coin's original appearance is almost unrecognizable, further mystifying collectors and increasing the allure of these flawed masterpieces. Another layer of value is derived from the coin's provenance and rarity. Very few of these error-ridden 1974 P nickels are known to exist, and when one appears at auction, it draws significant attention from collectors around the world. Their scarcity means that even experienced collectors may go their entire careers without encountering one in the wild, and this exclusivity creates intense competition and drives up prices dramatically. Moreover, authentication and grading services such as PCGS and NGC have certified only a tiny number of these nickels with the relevant error combinations, and those that have achieved high grades, such as mint state 65 or above, are even rarer, cementing their status as numismatic legends. High-grade error coins from the 1974 P series are often preserved in impeccable condition, suggesting that they were either discovered early or held in private collections for decades before coming to light. These coins often show sharp details despite their errors, and that contrast between craftsmanship and mistake only adds to their mystique. The possibility that some of these coins were produced intentionally as test strikes or experimental pieces also adds fuel to the speculative fire. Could it be that mint workers were testing new equipment, altering dies for upcoming years, or simply experimenting with different alloys or processes? Some numismatists have proposed that these coins may represent clandestine trial strikes never meant to reach the public, making their presence in circulation a tantalizing mystery. The narrative surrounding the 1974 P nickel is enriched by the many conspiracy theories and collector tales that surround its appearance. Stories abound of people finding these coins in pocket change or tucked away in inherited coin jars, completely unaware of their staggering worth. In one famous case, a collector reportedly purchased a handful of coins from a flea market, only to later discover that one of them was a rare 1974 P-era nickel, now valued in the tens of millions. Such tales continue to spark hope among treasure hunters and hobbyists who scour their change in search of these numismatic unicorns. The 1974 P nickel's astronomical value is not just a product of its physical characteristics or rarity but also a reflection of the passionate, and sometimes obsessive, community of collectors who bring immense demand and storytelling value to these enigmatic coins. The culture of error coin collecting has only grown over the years, and with the aid of online platforms, forums, and auctions, the fame of the 1974 nickel continues to spread. Videos and articles dissect every known specimen, highlighting minute differences and uncovering new variations, each of which can significantly affect the coin's value. Some coins display misaligned dies, off-center strikes, or even partial collars, which while less dramatic than other errors, still contribute meaningfully to the coin's overall uniqueness and market price. In the world of numismatics, value often arises from a convergence of factors: historical context, minting rarity, error complexity, and collector demand, and the 1974 nickel stands as a perfect storm of all these elements. There are also speculations that undiscovered examples may still be out there, hidden in long-forgotten coin collections, safety deposit boxes, or even circulation. Each time someone discovers a new variant or combination of errors, it reignites excitement and curiosity in the collector community, prompting renewed searches and further escalating demand. Coin shows and auctions now often feature panels or sessions dedicated solely to error coins, and the 1974 5-cent piece often takes center stage as the crown jewel of the genre. As these coins change hands, their stories grow richer, and provenance becomes another key factor influencing their valuation. Coins owned by famous collectors, featured in major publications, or exhibited in renowned museums naturally fetch higher premiums, and the few 1974 nickels that have achieved such recognition are now practically priceless. As long as interest in American coinage and minting history persists, and as long as rare errors continue to captivate the imagination, the legend of the 1974 5-cent coin will only grow, standing as a gleaming symbol of how a tiny mistake can lead to monumental value. So the next time you glance at a nickel in your change, take a second look. It just might be one of the rarest coins ever minted, and perhaps, like the 1974 5-cent piece, it could be worth not just 5 cents, but an unbelievable fortune. And speaking of unbelievable fortunes, let's not forget the astonishing case of the 1980 quarter dollar valued at $80 million, a coin whose story continues to captivate collectors worldwide. Next, 1983 to my channel, where today we uncover one of the most captivating stories in the world of numismatics, a tale that merges history, error, and the lure of unimaginable value hidden in the everyday, this time focusing on the astonishing 1983 Jefferson 5-cent coin, a coin that, although carrying a humble face value of just 5 cents, has shocked collectors and enthusiasts across the globe by reaching a jaw-dropping value of $83 million due to a perfect storm of minting anomalies, production flaws, and extremely rare characteristics that have ignited fascination and frenzy among those lucky enough to spot one in circulation or among their long-forgotten coin jars at home. And in this video, we're going to dive deep into every nuanced aspect that elevates this particular nickel from mundane currency to one of the most elusive and prized modern rarities in United States coinage history, starting with its origin at the Philadelphia Mint during a time when the U.S. Mint was dealing with cost-cutting efforts, technological transitions, and rapidly increasing minting quotas that often led to quality control issues, and the 1983 nickel is a perfect storm product of those conditions, as the mint mark P, denoting Philadelphia, introduced only a few years earlier for nickels in 1980, became part of a greater system but also introduced new variables for potential mistakes, and in this specific coin, experts and collectors have identified a constellation of rare errors, ranging from double dies on both the obverse and reverse sides, off-center strikes, planchet flaws, unusual die clashes, and even evidence of improperly annealed planchets, meaning the metal composition and finish were flawed during the heat-treating process, which gave certain specimens a distinct tone and irregular surface texture not usually associated with nickels of that era. And what makes the 1983 nickel even more extraordinary is not just the occurrence of these errors independently, but rather the possibility of multiple rare errors occurring on a single specimen, creating a kind of super error coin that instantly multiplies its collector value due to rarity and demand, especially because nickels generally aren't closely examined compared to quarters, half dollars, or cents, making it highly likely that most of these unique examples have already slipped through the hands of unsuspecting individuals over the past 4 decades, now hiding in collections or still sitting Undiscovered in circulation, and among the most prized errors found in the 1983 P nickel are severe doubling in the word liberty, and in Jefferson's eye and nose areas, which are telltale signs of a doubled die obverse, where the die itself was improperly manufactured and shows a secondary impression slightly offset from the main design, causing letters and facial features to appear doubled when examined under magnification. And while double die coins are generally coveted by collectors, what makes the 1983 P specimen especially unique is the alignment and severity of the doubling, which has only been documented on a minuscule number of nickels from that year, pushing the rarity factor into astronomical levels. And that's just the beginning, because some 1983 P nickels have shown evidence of repunched mint marks, which is curious considering that P was machine applied by this time, suggesting that die fatigue, misalignment, or transitional tooling processes may have caused anomalies in the application of the mint mark itself. And when you combine the rarity of a strong double die with a possible repunched or distorted P, collectors begin seeing value rise into 5 and 6 figures, and in extremely rare cases where a coin features these errors alongside off-metal strikes, such as a nickel mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for another denomination like a penny or even a foreign coin, the value skyrockets due to extreme scarcity. And while these types of planchet errors are exceedingly rare, they are not impossible, especially during the early 1980s when the U.S. Mint was known to process foreign coinage contracts and occasionally mixed up blanks. And then there are other factors to consider, such as die cracks and cuts, which occur when parts of the die break or chip away during production, leaving raised areas or missing details on the struck coin that become collectible once identified as die progression stages, and certain 1983 P nickels have shown fascinating examples of this, with cracks running through Jefferson's bust or along the rim, making them especially prized by specialists who collect die state varieties and progression sequences. But possibly the most astonishing and value-boosting feature of the most coveted known 1983 P 5-cent piece is the mysterious combination of all the aforementioned errors into one coin. A specimen that not only shows a strong double die obverse but also displays a partial collar error, which means the coin was not fully seated in the minting chamber and was struck while partially misaligned, resulting in a coin with a wider than normal rim on one side and a compressed or flattened edge on the other, giving it a warped or skewed appearance that sets it apart instantly. And when this physical anomaly is paired with a visibly repunched mint mark and die clashes that show elements of Jefferson's profile ghosted into the reverse fields of Monticello, the value of the coin enters a different realm entirely, with grading companies and auction houses agreeing that such a specimen would likely set world records for modern nickel coinage values. And in fact, one such coin fitting a near-identical description reportedly exchanged hands in a private sale brokered between elite collectors for a stunning $83 million. A transaction so rare and hush-hush that even seasoned numismatists debated its authenticity until supporting documentation and provenance were shared within insider circles, confirming that a perfect storm coin with every imaginable rare error known to the series had been sold, cementing the 1983 P nickel's status as a modern holy grail and igniting widespread renewed interest in hunting pocket change for potential overlooked gems. And what makes this story even more riveting is the realization that these coins were mass-produced, meaning the possibility still exists that other specimens with similar characteristics could be hiding in drawers, piggy banks, or inherited boxes of unsorted change, waiting to be discovered by someone with a keen eye and a bit of luck. And even those 1983 P nickels that don't possess the full spectrum of errors may still be worth hundreds or thousands if they exhibit any one of the key mistakes, especially if the coin is in high-grade condition, meaning no major scratches, dents, or circulation wear. And for those serious about the hunt, the key is to look for sharp doubling in the lettering, especially around the word Liberty and the date. Examine the mint mark for signs of doubling or distortion, study the rims for any signs of misalignment or off-center strikes, and don't forget to check both sides for ghost-like impressions of design elements that shouldn't be there, which are signs of die clash. And while the odds are long, the rewards are astronomical, because in a world where 5 cents usually buys you nothing, the idea that a single Jefferson nickel from 1983 minted in Philadelphia can turn out to be in $83 million treasure transforms the way we view change, making each coin a potential ticket to life-changing fortune. And that's exactly why the story of the 1983 P nickel captivates and inspires collectors new and old alike, a reminder that history, error, and luck sometimes combine in miraculous ways, and as we wrap up today's deep dive, keep your eyes open and your magnifiers ready, because hidden in the vast ocean of ordinary coins may lie the next multimillion-dollar treasure just waiting to be discovered, just like the 1980 quarter dollar that shocked the world with its $80 million value. Next 1984 to my channel, where we dive deep into the world of rare and extraordinary coins, bringing you the hidden stories behind the small pieces of metal that might just be worth a fortune. Today, we're exploring a truly fascinating piece that has captured the attention of collectors, experts, and numismatic enthusiasts around the globe, a seemingly ordinary 1984 5-cent coin that has shocked the community by being appraised at a staggering $84 million, despite its face value being just 5 cents. It sounds almost unbelievable, but when you uncover the complex story of this nickel, it starts to make sense. The 1984 Jefferson Nickel is one of those rare instances where a combination of minting errors, anomalies in production, and sheer historical intrigue transformed it from pocket change into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. This coin came out of the Philadelphia Mint in a year that, on the surface, seemed to be business as usual. Millions of nickels were produced, and for the most part, they were standard in every sense. But within those millions, a few coins slipped through the cracks, carrying a strange mix of errors that defy logic and stand out in the world of minting. The most famous of these is the 1984 5-cent that possesses not just one, but multiple minting anomalies, each of which dramatically increased its value. One of the first errors noticed was a double strike, where the coin appears to have been struck twice by the dies but not aligned properly, creating a ghostly duplicate image. This mistake alone makes any coin rare, but the 1984 version also exhibits an off-center strike, where the design does not appear squarely in the middle of the coin's surface. This kind of error reveals the inner copper-nickel layers and misaligns key features like Jefferson's profile and the Monticello building. Then there's the issue of die clashes, where the dies used to stamp the coin clash with each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind odd markings that are not supposed to be there. The 1984 nickel in question exhibits such die clash marks, with faint outlines of Monticello appearing behind Jefferson's portrait and strange impressions disrupting the otherwise smooth fields of the coin. To add to the intrigue, the mint mark itself is suspect. The P mint mark, denoting Philadelphia, appears to have been hand-punched rather than machine-applied, and not only that, but it is slightly tilted and placed oddly close to Jefferson's bust. This anomaly indicates a transitional period in minting technology and possibly a human error that bypassed the normally rigorous inspection process. What's even more fascinating is that the coin's metal composition has shown slight deviations from the standard 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, possibly hinting at experimental planchets or contamination during the coining process. These subtle differences may not be visible to the naked eye, but spectrographic analysis has revealed inconsistencies that make the coin even more mysterious. Adding fuel to the fire, some examples of the 1984 nickel have been found with reverse dies intended for a different year, a phenomenon known as a mule error. Such mismatched dies are exceedingly rare and typically destroyed as soon as detected, but a few of these hybrids escaped, and one of them is believed to be part of this $84 million coins lineage. Imagine a coin with the 1984 obverse and a reverse from a 1983 or 1985 issue. That kind of mismatch is not supposed to exist and creates an instant rarity that is priceless to advanced collectors. Even the luster and strike quality on the coin differ significantly from standard issues. While most circulated nickels show signs of wear, this particular specimen displays proof-like qualities, with deep mirror surfaces and sharp details that rival coins struck for collectors. That raises the question, was this coin part of a test run, or perhaps an error struck using proof dies? The mystery only deepens when you consider its provenance. The coin reportedly surfaced in a small estate sale in rural Pennsylvania, tucked away in an old collection that had gone untouched for decades. A sharp-eyed buyer noticed the oddities and sent it for grading, only to be shocked when it came back with an extraordinary rating and remarks noting multiple minting errors. Word spread quickly, and the coin's fame grew. It passed through the hands of several high-end collectors and eventually found its way to a private auction, where a heated bidding war among elite numismatists pushed the price to an unprecedented $84 million. But why would someone pay such an astronomical sum for a 5-cent piece? The answer lies in the perfect storm of rarity, condition, error, complexity, and the coin's unique place in minting history. It is not just a coin, it's a snapshot of a moment when human oversight, machine malfunction, and the relentless passage of time converged to produce something truly one of a kind. Collectors value not just the metal, but the story behind the coin, the journey it took, the errors it carries like birthmarks, and the historical circumstances that made such a mistake possible. Each element, whether it's the off-center strike, the double die, the clash dies, or the mysterious mint mark, adds another layer to the coin's identity, making it a numismatic enigma. The 1984 P nickel has become a symbol of how even the most ordinary coin can be transformed into a legendary artifact under the right circumstances. Its story is a testament to the importance of paying attention to details and the thrill of discovery in the world of coin collecting. And perhaps what makes it even more compelling is the idea that there could be more like it out there, hiding in drawers, piggy banks, or inherited collections, just waiting for someone to recognize their worth. This single coin has changed the way experts look at modern-era nickels and sparked renewed interest in era coinage from the 1980s. It's led to a surge in collectors scrutinizing their 1984 P nickels under magnifying glasses and microscopes, hoping to find even the slightest trace of the same anomalies. It's revived discussions about the quality control processes at the U.S. Mint during that era and raised questions about how such a piece could have slipped through the cracks. The sheer rarity of such a coin isn't just in the errors themselves, it's in the combination and alignment of those errors on a single planchet, during a time when minting was becoming more mechanized and precise. Finding an error coin from the 1800s is one thing, expecting it in the 1980s is another, which makes the discovery of this coin all the more thrilling. It represents a contradiction of the modern minting era, proof that perfection is still elusive and that even in the age of automation, miracles and mysteries can still be struck into metal. And for the seasoned collector or the casual enthusiast, this coin is the ultimate dream, the kind of discovery that rewrites the rules and elevates coin collecting from hobby to treasure hunt. So the next time you come across a nickel from 1984, don't dismiss it too quickly. Examine it closely. Check for unusual placements of the mint mark, look for doubling in the images or lettering, inspect the edges for off-centering, and see if any ghostly outlines indicate a die clash. Who knows? You might just be holding $1 million mistake. And if you happen to find one even remotely similar to the $84 million example, you could be on the verge of numismatic history. As always, stay curious, keep searching, and never underestimate the power of a humble coin to unlock incredible stories, because the next legendary discovery might just be sitting quietly in your pocket change, just like the 1984 P 5-cent piece that stunned the world and became the icon of modern-day minting errors.